for the quarterly report. Just quick update on various things. Personally and professionally, my term is ending at the end of December. I am not running again. So there are a couple candidates that are running for the position. There'll be a primary on that in August, and then the general election is in November. You know, the reality is the winner of the primary in August will likely be the next district attorney. The term ends end of actually like first or second day in January, and the next person comes in, whoever that may be, in early January. It's been a great road for me. I've enjoyed it. It's time for me to do something different. But with regard to the quarterly report, I think with regard to our goals, we're with regard to drug treatment court, things are going, I think, according to plan. Keeping in mind, we've had some meetings with chief of police with regard to some changes. The long and short of it is that these are high risk, high need individuals. We're not going to have a lot of overall success all the time with everyone that's in the program. But all in all, I think the program is doing really pretty well. I can give you an update on some graduates in a moment. With regard to the next goal with regard to funding for inpatient treatment, long and short of it is that I think there's other avenues that are in the works with regard to inpatient treatment. So I think I put on there that it hasn't really started. I think there's things that I haven't started with regard to inpatient treatment, specifically with regard to the females that need that, but that is in the works with other individuals. Working with the treatment court, with the individual that's in charge, Andy Freeman, who's in charge of both. He's a treatment court coordinator working on diversion as well as treatment court, and he's in the process and he's evaluating those programs. So we're in the process of evaluating the success and matrix of those programs. I can give you a quick update. I went through our graduates since its inception. There's been 18 graduates of drug treatment court during the time it's been in existence, and overall there have been some positives. All the graduates made it through a period of sobriety when they graduated. Of the 18 graduates, there have been 3 graduates that have reoffended in terms of committing new offenses that they've been charged with and convicted of. 2 of which have been convicted of. One has a pending case, or 2 pending cases right now. 2 of those were drug cases. One was an OWI second offense that was alcohol related. It wasn't drug related. So if there can be any positivity to that, at least it wasn't drugs. Then of the remaining, unfortunately, there were 2 graduates that did overdose and die. That was very difficult. That was very difficult for me personally. I think for members of the team, and that's probably one of the worst outcomes that can happen. But the reality is that these were all individuals that were high risk, high need to begin with, and optimistic that as we get more graduates, that they will be successful. With regard to the other goals, we've had some turnover in our office with regard to new office managers and some new staff, and there's been some significant cross training and with this new office manager as well as with staff. So that's going according to plan, I believe. And then another initiative that I have that technically really hasn't started, although there are some things that are in the works. One of the items that I think our county really does need, I think the time is really there, and that is for a pretrial monitoring program. I have I thought there was a possibility of doing some pretrial monitoring in the sense of certain individuals that are charged with crimes to try to have them have some, when you're convicted of a crime, you can have an alcohol sensor placed on you if you're at the jail. The reality is there's costs involved in that. Those individuals, when they are sentenced to a crime, they've been convicted, they have different rights. And if they want to be released on Huber and with electronic monitoring, they can, and they will likely pay the reasonable cost of having monitoring for the alcohol bracelet. When someone is not convicted of a crime, there's costs involved, and the reality is that the sheriff can't bear all those costs, and you have no idea how long, when an individual first appears in court, how long that is going, that monitoring is going to go on for. An individual that's sentenced by a judge, say for 90 or 120 days, you know that they're going to get, will be a little bit less of that with good time, but if it's a 120-day sentence, you know they're going to get roughly 90 days, so you know the essential costs involved. So the reality on doing, at this point in time, doing some sort of pretrial monitoring in my discussions with the sheriff, I just don't think at this point is a reality. With that said, Judge Girnoff, who is here, I think she's in the process of trying to set up a criminal justice coordinating committee, which I am in full support of. I think that would be a great thing for this county to have. And when that, I'm not going to say if, when that happens sometime in the near future, the district attorney's office, or at least I have indicated my support for someone from my office to be part of that organization that would have many individuals from the community involved in that, probably including potentially someone from the Public Safety Committee. I understand we now have a new public safety officer. That might be something that individual would be on. But I think it's time for us to have a pretrial services. There's all sorts of news articles with regard to individuals that are released on bond, and unfortunate things that are happening in terms of committing new crimes. And I think the reality is that we're a little behind here comparatively to other counties with regard to our pretrial services, specifically with things that I think are pretty low-hanging fruit that we can do. And then along those lines, that would, if that was identified and that such an organization was in effect, a pretrial services organization was in effect, that would help us to identify and get people, I think, into drug treatment court even quicker than we're doing. That is one of the things that we're striving to do, is to get individuals that are the proper participants in drug treatment court into the system as soon as possible. And right now there are some, just the reality of the criminal justice system, there are some challenges to get people in as quickly as possible. So I'm optimistic that in the very near future that there will be such a committee set up that will address that issue, which I feel is in strong need of this county, and lots of other issues that I'm sure others in the community and other stakeholders believe is appropriate for the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee to identify. If anyone has any questions for me, I'll seek to answer them.
Thank you for your comments and for your report. And we certainly appreciate your years of service and wish you the best, in 6 months when you finally get around to enjoying your retirement.
Well, I'm not retiring. I will be doing something different. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just not.
We wish you the best.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to correct you, but the reality is I will be working. Yes. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? One quick question, and it may be unfair to ask it, but with the drug treatment court, I've heard great things about that in the past and appreciate all the work that's been done in that regard. How does the recidivism rate of the graduates compare to the general recidivism with other crimes or in other areas. Is that even a fair question to ask?
It's certainly a fair question to ask. I think it's a fair question to ask. I think the more challenging part is giving you a fair answer to your question. And at this point, I think that the reality is that usually if you're gonna make a true fair comparison, you know, an apples to apples comparison, what you need a period of time. And so the program's been in existence since 2000. It's a 16 to 18 month program to get through. So our earliest graduates or most of our graduates, our earliest graduates are 2022. So we haven't really had a lengthy period of time for the graduates to see how they're doing. So that's issue number one, is you need a period of time to really truly see. But then I think another question, and it's a fair question, is to make that apples to apples comparison. Is you can't just, I guess you could say, the overall general recidivism rate, but really what you would want is individuals that have committed, I think, similarly situated crimes. I mean, if in your global group of individuals for general recidivism rate, you put in a bunch of, you know, people operating after revocation, cases that are technically criminal, that might skew it one way or the other. So, at least in my opinion, a proper metric would be individuals that would be, how did individuals that are charged with similar crimes who have not gone through drug treatment court, how have they done versus individuals that have successfully completed drug treatment court, and how did they do? And I think a third one could also be, because I think there is even individuals, there's been a lot of individuals in our program that unfortunately did not make it through the program. And then, you know, another comparison would be individuals that at least started in the program but were discharged for whatever reason. You know, did that have any benefit? I think sometimes it's been shown that individuals that there are, even if somebody doesn't even make it all the way through a program, there can be some benefits for essentially at least attempting to go through the program. So I think we're in the process of trying to do that with Danny Freeman and working on that, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Thank you. And one other quick question. For pretrial monitoring, at any given time, how many individuals are we talking about, excuse me, that we should be monitoring? You know, is there an average number per month, or do you have any idea on that?
Well, there's hundreds of people in the criminal justice system at any given time. And personally, I think the vast majority of them wouldn't necessarily require, quote unquote, pretrial monitoring. We have a lot of individuals that are charged with, go back to the operating after revocations, operating without a license, second offense. Those are technically criminal cases. Not technically, they are. But they're in the system, and I don't know if they really require, truthfully, any pretrial monitoring. And then you have a whole bunch of other individuals that might have like a retail theft or something like that, and I don't know whether they really need it, unless, of course, they're identified as having maybe some alcohol issues or something like that. I do think individuals that have been charged with drunk driving, I think that's low-hanging fruit. I think you got to start somewhere. So I would say, realistically, there's probably the need for a couple hundred at any given time that I think would be worthy of having. And there's other aspects to pretrial monitoring besides, in my mind, one important aspect would be the alcohol monitoring for individuals that are charged with OWI crimes. But individuals that are charged with drug crimes, they could, theoretically have to have come in for a random test or something like that, and if they didn't, then there might be a consequence, an increase in bond. And there are other things as well that I think pretrial monitoring could do. So I think you got to start somewhere. So that's why I think one would need to first establish it, as far as the cost, I truly don't know what the cost was, but I think, in fairness, it would probably be in the neighborhood of a couple hundred individuals that I think would be worthy of some sort of pretrial monitoring.
Thank you for your report. Thanks for your answers. Are there any further questions from the committee? Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next item on our agenda, item 3B, is our introduction of our Chief Public Safety Officer.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Lonnie Hagrup, Chief of Staff. I am so pleased to be here today. A little bit of background, as you all are aware, we have set up the county executive's cabinet in a way that we have a cabinet member that aligns with each of our standing committees, acting as a liaison. Among other things, as we say, the cabinet members also have real jobs in that they have assignments within their each of their expertise. So we began a search in January for someone to join the county executive's cabinet to serve as emergency preparedness director and to serve as public safety officer. And I am so pleased today to introduce to you Dave Sager, who is from Jackson. I mean, there's so many bonuses here. He has 27 years in the Milwaukee Fire Department, so we really believe his skills align so perfectly for what we've been searching for. In particular, the other task, large task right now before him will be helping with and leading that fire EMS task force that the county executive has formed. And there's so many other things that he'll be tackling. He's behind me. I don't even know that he knows exactly what he'll be tackling. So he has agreed to come here today and let me introduce him. And he will be officially joining us on July 15th. So here's Dave.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Brossert and other distinguished members of the Public Safety Committee. It is truly my distinct privilege to stand before you today as a member of Washington County already. So that's a really big deal for me. Secondly, it's a privilege to have the opportunity to engage with Lonnie and Aaron and Captain from the Sheriff's Department, the County Executive. It's a privilege to be part of a team that not only works well together, but gets things done. Something I'm not necessarily used to, but in Washington County, I definitely can see that this is going to be a tremendous relationship. I look forward to working alongside you, establishing relationships with you. I just heard the district attorney and those objectives from his office. I look very forward to that opportunity as well because the constituency of the Washington County deserves that. So it's my privilege to stand here before you. And a little background from Ms. Hagerup, and if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'm very pleased that I was able to be part of the agenda today, so I'm not walking in on July 15th, and here I am. So if you have any questions, I'm more than available for you.
Any questions from the committee? I have none either. Just a warm welcome. Thank you very much, and we look forward to your expertise and dedication in Washington County.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Stay cool.
Next item on the agenda, item 3C, modification of the 2024 fee schedule. And if we could have a... what's that? Okay, thanks. Captain Stacer, welcome.
Good morning. So what we have before you today is just a discussion. We did a similar thing with the previous Public Safety Committee several months back, and I don't think this is an action item, but we're more or less looking for the committee's endorsement on this particular issue. This issue is with storage fees on our vehicles that we seize. We hold these vehicles until they're no longer evidence or until the court case is concluded or until the court orders that these articles are returned, at which time we contact the owners of these vehicles, whether it be a private owner or the insurance company, as is the case many times. The car is purchased by the insurance company and it is now owned by the insurance company. The fee schedule is really kind of a mechanism to get these people to get in here and get these vehicles out of here. After we seize the vehicle, we're not charging anyone storage for the vehicle. And we don't start charging storage until the 6th day. So we notify them, we give them 5 days to get them out, and on that 6th day is when we start charging storage. So, given the previous nominal fees, there's not much of an incentive for people to get over here and get their cars out of here. We're hoping that by increasing the price rates, the charges for storage, that we'll see it'll incentivize, especially insurance companies, to get someone over here and get the vehicles out of our facilities.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? Yes.
So just as far as I'm curious, if a vehicle is part of an investigation or ongoing investigation, do storage fees start at that same timeline, or is it when the investigation concludes? Or I'm just curious.
They would start when the vehicle is no longer considered evidence. So you may seize a vehicle, the detectives may do an inventory of it or process it for evidence, and it's no longer needed. That's when we contact the owner and say you got 5 days, or it's when the case has been concluded, an appeals period. In some cases that it may be, we might have the vehicle years, or when the court says that we should give the vehicle back to the owner. That's when that clock starts. So we'll contact that person via phone. If we can't get them via phone, we'll send a certified letter to them. Once we have receipt that owner's been notified, that's when the 5 days start. On the 6th day, we start charging storage. So we're not talking about a lot of money here. I don't have any numbers for you as far as what we made or what this is potentially going to generate. I don't think that's necessarily the right way to look at it. It's just trying to incentivize the owners of these vehicles, particularly the insurance companies, to act a little swifter in getting them out of here.
If there are no other questions, thank you very much for your report. Appreciate it. Item 3D, approval of Village of Germantown Fire Department radio grant application. Mr. Dahl.
Good morning. So this is another radio grant application. It's in the standard format, similar to what you saw last week. This request is from the Germantown Fire Department. This is related to their recent public safety referendum that had passed. We recently saw the request from the PD. This is the request from the fire department to. Looks like they're adding 10 radios because of the 10 firefighters that are being added. So happy to answer any questions. But
very good. Thank you for the background information. Do we have a motion? Mr. Newman on the motion, Mr. Toma on the second. Any discussion? Oh, thank you.
Part of this program, all the similar programs, the village board has to pass a resolution, owning up to the fact that this is really sales tax money they're getting. Has this been done, or where does that fit in the process?
So the way the process works is you all they submit an application. You all consider that application. When that's complete, we send them model resolution language, and then they put it in their format. The language stays the same, but everybody's got a different format for things. But then their elected body considers and passes it, and when that's complete, they send it back to us with essentially a receipt or a paid invoice, and then we send the check for the grant.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, 2024 resolution, grant application, Paul Coverdell Forensic Science Improvement Program, Bureau of Justice Assistance, fiscal year 2024. Do we have a motion on this item? Mr. Toma?
I'll second it.
And Ms. Krieger-Gundrum, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. That was a mouthful on the the description there. So I'm with the medical examiner's office. I'm here today to ask If we can go ahead with our application for the Paul Coverdell Forensic Science Improvement Grant. This is a federal grant that's offered annually, and I don't know if the objectives change from year to year, but this particular year, one of the main objectives is to carry out all or a substantial part of a program intended to improve the quality and timeliness of forensic science or medical examiner coroner services for local government. Focused on eliminating the backlog of forensic science examination, and this year they are making priority consideration for awards that request funds for projects that address opioid and synthetic drug related challenges for the forensic science community. So what I'm looking to ask for in my grant proposal is several pieces of advanced technology that would help us carry out these objectives as far as improving timeliness of the medical examiner services and also helping with some of the opiate-related struggles that our county and every other county in the nation has currently. And I did include probably some pretty long descriptions of some of that equipment in the packet for you guys, but just to highlight kind of the high level is we're looking at handheld narcotics analyzers that would allow us to identify substances at a scene rapidly, a tabletop toxicology machine that's very easy to run. Any of my staff could do it with very small amount of blood. We would be able to get toxicology results almost in real time. And then a crime light kit, which is a really advanced like lighting kit that allows you to take photos and video. It would allow you to see, substances that you can't see with the naked eye, fluid, evidence, potentially bruises under the skin, things like that. That would be really helpful to us at a scene when we're making decisions. We're also looking for a small amount of the grant allocation to go towards further customizing the case management software that we're implementing currently in the office, and to pay for some of that subscription fee over the next couple of years. This is a 3-year grant. So yeah, I think these technology advancements would be huge for us. Not only would they benefit the medical examiner's office, but they're going to benefit all of the law enforcement agencies that we support. I fully understand there's limitations to some of this technology, so I've talked to DA Benson about the tox machine in particular, and that we would certainly send out confirmatory testing on any cases that would be potentially going for criminal litigation, so that we're getting lab results from an accredited lab in cases that are going to go to court. But I think that having these tax results instantly is going to help guide investigations, help us make better decisions about autopsy, and ultimately save us money on sending out lab work to some of the bigger labs where we're spending a little bit more money. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
Yeah, I have one question.
Please.
Where do you send the information to? Where's the lab, and how quickly do you get information back?
So currently, or with the new technology? Both. Okay. So currently our lab work goes out to a couple of different entities. So we do utilize a national lab called NMS. Those tax results can turn around anywhere from like 4 to 6 weeks. And if we have a case that is pay per service, so we pay for those tests. It depends on what we're running. Those tests can be anywhere from $250 and up, depending on what you're looking to test. And then certain cases will go to the State Lab of Hygiene. That testing is free. However, the turnaround there is upwards of, I would say, like 8 to 12 weeks sometimes longer, depending on how backed up they are. With the Randox technology that we would be implementing, that software, I mean, that machine would provide a printout immediately. I mean, we could run the labs in our morgue. 30, 40 minutes later, we're going to get a printout with quantified results, so actually levels of drugs found in blood concentration. So it would be a huge improvement in what we're currently getting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? So the grant is for getting the equipment. Do you anticipate any training costs, or how there has to be something going on for training, right?
Yeah. So the Crime Light has an included training package in the quote that we received. That's probably the piece of equipment that would require the most training, just because it's such a specialized piece of equipment, which would probably involve some law enforcement on that training as well, just so we kind of all know how it works. The Randox machine would require very minimal training. I mean, it's a pretty simple process, and same with the handheld analyzers. So very little training cost in a couple of those, but the quote for the Crime Light has a training package built in already.
Very good. Thank you. Chairman Schley.
In addition to the training cost, equipment like this requires regular recalibration, correct? And you have a feel for that?
Yeah, so the Randox Tox machine, I'm not super familiar with the Crime Light and the handheld analyzer. I think the analyzer is pretty simple. I don't think there's a lot of maintenance with that. But the Tox machine, from what the rep told me, pretty much every so many tests you run, you just have to click a button and it automatically recalibrates itself. It has a 1-year warranty. Beyond that, then we would have to look at, either purchasing extended warranty or just seeing how frequently we would need any repairs or major things done. But the Crime Light also comes with, I think, a 2 or 3 year warranty as well. So.
Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for your support.
Our next meeting date is scheduled for Wednesday, July 17th at 7 a.m.